Well, and, you know, Hope Hicks is on the potential witness list. I mean, Donald Trump is a micromanager, is something anyone that covered him. I mean, he weighed in on walk-up music. He told Cassidy Hutchinson to change the color of her highlights to match Hope Hicks's highlights. He wanted John Bolton to shave his mustache before he would give him the job of his national. I mean, there is no counter narrative, to borrow your word, to Donald Trump as a micromanager, especially when it came to his money.
And Hope Hicks is going to be able to testify to that. Hope Hicks was there with him for every meeting that took place during that 2015, 2016 cycle, right? Whether she would sometimes walk in, walk out, she was omnipresent. She was the respected confidant here. And she can also testify to the fact that Michael Cohen was really working as his right hand on so much of this here. Because when we talk about, you know, number one, there was the back and forth between Keith Davidson and the prosecution yesterday, where they continually asked him, you know, who was it your understanding was that was going to actually pay that $130,000. And a couple times, you know, he held back from saying, well, Donald Trump, but it was just sort of like an implied, well, of course it was Donald Trump.
Right.
Because of course Michael Cohen was working for him. That was just an understood arrangement. Right. He then ended up saying that it was Donald Trump or an affiliated company there. But Hope Hicks is going to be intriguing here because we have just not heard from her publicly speak to this year. And to the extent that Donald Trump has viewed her over the last 8-10 years as such an entrusted ally of his, this is going to be a moment here where for him inside of that courtroom, he's going to have to meet eye to eye with the person who he is hoping takes that stand and has his back.
Well, I mean, this is interesting, and this may not be legal in nature, but sort of about her character, which I don't know that we know a ton about. She, as you said, you can't even find any sound of her, right? Like she was everywhere and nowhere. She was like a ghost. But she had some incredibly dramatic public-facing moments working for Donald Trump. She was in a relationship with someone who was fired because of alleged spousal abuse. She was incredibly glamorous and photographed everywhere with Donald Trump. And in the final days of the Trump presidency, there are text messages that are produced through the January 6th Select Committee investigation where she's complaining about not being able to get jobs because they all look like terrorists, her word. What do you, as someone who has some sort of, intuition and intelligence about the people around Trump, do you think she's a runograph? Do you think she's a David? I mean, what kind of storyteller do you think she is on the stand?
She also had to acknowledge when she went and spoke through the congressional committee investigating their own Russia probe, she went and acknowledged that she had told white lies for Donald Trump. Those were her own words. And when that became public, that is when she formally announced that she was leaving the White House. And so this is somebody who I do not personally know Hope well enough, right? Because she is somebody there who was very much, yes, well, we say omnipresent, but she was not an Alina Habba. She was not one of, the press secretaries that would go out there and go toe-to-toe with the press or pick up the phone and yell and scream at you. That's not the type of a figure she was. She was the quiet person that you knew commanded the respect of Donald Trump, and therefore you showed her that sort of respect in return. What kind of a witness is she going to be is just in so many ways. I think if she had stayed there through 2020, I think that we would have had a better understanding. Right. Because in a way of like the Alyssa Farahs, right, and the Cassidy Hutchinsons, they all went before that January 6th committee in a different capacity than even Hope Hicks did. And the moment was on them to speak their truth.
They broke with him.
They broke with him there.
Right.
And that pressure, that decision was there. That sort of a pressure point was not on her in the same type of way there. This is that moment for her that she was able to effectively avoid because she left the White House earlier.
And a very quick point. That they're going to use her. Rona Graff went up and she had nothing good to say for them. And they just used her very quickly and got her off the stand.
To establish that Stormy.
Just to use this, just to get the context. I mean, she was there for everything. If they're relying on Hope Hicks, and indications are that they are, she's going to be a strong witness.
And she testified before the grand jury.
That's
we know
right.
that. So we can expect some of these other people, Kellyanne Conway, also testify.
She didn't make it onto their potential witness list. So what do you think the holes are in their story? What do they need from Hope Hicks?
I think they need to get an insider's perspective. I mean, she's apparently at that Trump Tower meeting where they discuss what they're going to do and how they're with Pecker. She's in and out of the meeting. Whether or not, I guess the big bane of contention that the defense was trying to raise is, oh, you don't remember if Hope was there, and they questioned David Pecker. You didn't at first tell the feds that Hope was there and you omitted it in your FBI 302 memo.
Right.
But if Hope comes in and says, I was there, I walked in and out, I heard them talk about it, I heard them talk about this catch and kill deal. They didn't call it that, but there was buy and bury salacious news against Donald Trump. She can confirm that that happened.
They also needed to shore up the back end. They've got a lot of stuff on the front, but when they get to just Michael Cohen signing checks, to the extent she's present and substantiates it even a little, it's solid gold.
And where was he mentally on this, right? In those closing weeks there, around the Access Hollywood, right? She was
on the plane.
The prominent woman with him there on that plane there. What was his feeling about the impact that it was going to have on the 2016 election? Did he openly talk to her about his fears that this was doomed for him? Right. We don't know that, right? Hope Hicks would have likely been one of those two people outside of Kellyanne or Steve Bannon
on the plane. And
to engage
Corey
in that.
Lewandowski writes in his book that she would steam his, the last person he was with before he walked off the plane was her. She steamed his suit while he wore it. You hear a lot when you do things like that.